Okay, we are live. Does anybody else want to share it to other places? I might share to LinkedIn. Should I share to LinkedIn, guys?
I'd say make sure we're on our Twitter. You can share it to your Twitter as well. Definitely our YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
And then LinkedIn would probably be a good call.
I actually don't have. We'll see if we can get it hooked up right now. Oh, it's working. Great. Okay. Okay. I would kind of. Oh, Nico's here. Okay. Hey, Nico.
Hey.
Okay.
Just making sure my share screen thing works, because if I'm going to be presenting something.
Yeah, it's working. I should get mine ready too. Okay, we got the gang is all here. So yeah, why don't we kick things off? Ryan, do you have any starting words? We have the agenda. I think we were gonna start with an art update from Dan, and then do Nico to kind of talk about some of the stuff going on in the engine. And then I was thinking maybe just run through some of the scenarios that we've been working on. I think that'll kind of cover a lot of Nico's stuff. But yeah, why don't we kick things off with Dan?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, a lot of exciting things happening on the art side. So I'm assuming that most people watching this video are going to be aware of this, but I'll just say it anyway. But we've been posting some of our art content, mostly to Twitter, but also on other platforms like YouTube and TikTok. But we've been for a while now trying to pick what is the right art style for our platform for Incite Worlds. And we've been toying with this idea of 2.5D. The vampire scene is entirely 2.5D. Some of our other experiences have been much more like 2D. And so recently we posted a tutorial for how to kind of do assets in our style. And it was so popular. I forget how many total views it garnered over the course of all the different tweets that we did about it, but I think it was close to like 2 million. So whatever it is about this art style is very resonating with players and particularly artists. And if you want to go check out that tutorial yourself, you can. You can go to Incite _dev Twitter, or our YouTube, which Ryan, what is our YouTube? Incite Worlds, is that what it is?
We'll drop the link in the comments too.
We'll drop the link. You can watch the video yourself. And
you can be sharing your screen also while you're talking.
Yeah, sure. Let me pop that open.
Yeah, I mean, I think that car got over 2 million views on its own. I want to say the tutorial video had 400 or 600K views. It's around like 5-6 minutes. It kind of goes into detail of how the whole thing works. And also there was just some really great, tell me when it's ready, I'll click it on the sharing, but there were a lot of just great just people who, artists who follow you, who made some really great stuff. Yeah.
Right. So here's the tutorial video, and it covers this specific car asset. And, it's our goal at Incite to make, tons of different scenarios possible and have much broader worlds. And so this was just one asset for one of the worlds that we're working on, which we're calling internally like RP Town. This idea that there's this world you can live in and role play different things in this world. So we need vehicles. And so we did this, and we had this tutorial, got a lot of interest on it. Not so much on the YouTube video, but definitely so on Twitter. And so much so that we were able to source a lot of really good art talent too. We were hiring artists at the time. And so many of the people that saw this said, "Oh, I can do that too." And so now we're working with quite a team. Like we went from one contract artist to like over 8 now, and we're pumping through a lot of cool content for our next scenarios. So I'll give you a brief peek at one of the new scenarios, and we posted. We posted about this on Twitter too, so you might have seen some of this. But one of our scenarios that we're working on is a bar scene where it's like it's a dating sim. You try to pick up somebody at the bar. There's a bunch of other scenarios that our community could probably come up with this setting, but this is the one that we're working on as an example. And there's just a lot of interesting props and details going on here, and that's something that we really want to try to allow is we want to craft these really artistically, like we want to tell a story with the environment, not just have it be some generic environment, but something that's interesting to look at and explore. So we're currently this was the thumbnail stage, I guess the rough design stage of this project, and now we're going through the process of actually rendering all of those assets out. So if I show this screen here, this shows our Trello board right now with all the different props making up that scene in various stages of production. It's just so cool to see this happening like so quickly, right? So it goes from thumbnail to design to breakdown, because the video shows how you break down these things. And then eventually we even want to animate them. So like this is an example of the dartboard. It will be fun if you can actually throw darts at the dartboard and make every little interaction of these worlds delightful. So that's where we're at right now. We have more scenes we're working on. If you follow us on Twitter, you should be able to, get more peeks of what we're doing. And we're going to continue to share more content more regularly, especially now that we have a much higher velocity on producing this content. So stay tuned.
And by the way, sorry not to interrupt, but by the way, there's like 80 people watching right now. If people have comments, if you're on YouTube, that's the easiest place for us to see the comments. I think we'll also try to get this up, or Ryan, if you can be pulling up on Twitter and such and seeing if you can see any questions. But if people have questions, feel free to pop them in, and we'll try to answer them as they come in.
I am watching Twitter, so if you need to drop a question, you're curious to ask something, just let us know. Happy to answer it.
Cool. And then could you also, Dan, because I think a lot of people here are interested on the art side of things, can you share some of those some of the stuff that Stefano's been doing with the new rooms?
Oh yeah, no, that's a great call. Let me share my screen again. Sorry. Present.
Yeah, you can just keep it. Sorry, I'll take it off you can keep sharing it, but I'll take it off the
Okay.
live stream.
So I actually can.
It's back on.
Go to our folder here. So these are some of these different scenes we're working on. One of them is a VC room. The idea of this scenario is that you pitch to a VC your crazy startup idea. In fact, I think
VC means venture capitalists, for those who aren't in the lingo.
Venture capital. Thank you for the clarification. But the idea here is that you start the scenario, and the venture capitalist is behind his desk and says, "Oh, I've heard about this crazy startup idea of yours of 3D printed houses," or whatever it is. He will generate a really crazy random startup idea that you are now supposed to defend and convince him to invest in your company. So it's just something that's pretty fun. It's going to be really relevant to the people that we're pitching to. But the very first stage that we do artistically is explore thumbnails of what the scene could look like holistically. That's really important to us. It would be easy to think that you could just make a list of props and then, make a cool scene with them. But no, you need to see what they feel like together. So that's our first stage. And Stefano is one of our new contractors that is working with us, who's just absolutely amazing. And this is actually one stage. There were some stages before this where we explored different types of office environments. And then this particular stage that we're looking at is where we're exploring different color palettes and lighting to go along with these environments.
Can you zoom in on a couple of your favorites?
Right. So it looks like let me see if I can turn on the lighting on some of these ones.
Okay. I was going to say, like, 4 looks the best. Why did 1 win? But yeah, there we go.
Right. It's a little bit unfair because some of these layers have been turned off.
Turn the lights on.
I'll turn on some of these things here. And then this one.
Yeah, I was like, how did 4 beat 1? Or 1 beat 4? But no.
Yeah, lighting makes all the difference in the world. But we did go for this one. There's some reasons for that. A lot of it just depends on the mood you're going for. A lot of them, they're not bad, they're not wrong. They're just, what are the goals of our project? And one of the goals that I have in my mind is to have something that has an aesthetic that's kind of playful. And some of these rooms are kind of monotone and more professional feeling, but we want to make sure that we keep our stuff feeling like a fun environment, a fun, playful, lighthearted environment. And this one had just some more playful colors going on with the wall color and complementing against the plants and the the paintings on the wall. So this is the direction we're heading. And really, though, this is just one room of what could be a much larger office environment, which we're also working towards. So any sort of scenario that can take place in an office, people will be able to remix and create their own.
Yeah, and we had can you hot swap palettes? Not, I don't think so, but we can do color variations very quickly.
It's something that we want to do for sure. We haven't implemented the tech for it, but we want to make sure that all the assets that we make for our scenarios don't work just for our scenario. We want them to be usable by everyone. So, like, for example, even though this scenario only has the chairs facing this one direction, we want you to be able to use them in your scene, and you might need them facing a different direction. So we're actually drawing all the different alternate views of each of the assets. And another really big piece of customization is color customization. So it's a bridge that we'll have to cross fairly soon, but we just haven't yet.
Yeah, and I think one reason why this art style we really like it and why it works is it is very handcrafted, which makes it hard to just automatically change the colors around. But we'll definitely have some color options in the future. Cool. Well, anything else on the art side? I feel like that's the major things. And I think going forward, we're going to be working on a couple new scenes soon. I don't know if you want to chat about those really briefly, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, so the general idea here is, Incite Worlds is a platform for many different kinds of scenarios, not just the vampire stuff, not just for whatever. There's a whole bunch of different types of markets that our platform could appeal to. So we're trying to make example scenes that's, compelling games in their own right, but kind of small example scenarios, demos, to inspire creators, but also to attract players to our platform. So this VC room is obviously, the audience for the VC room is obviously VCs, but we also want to make, scenarios that appeal to the Zelda players out there. We want to make a scenario that appeals to players of The Sims, right? So domestic situations, which I think is a really interesting thing to me. So we have a few of these planned. And then the one that I'm really excited about is we're doing a scene that's inspired by Squid Games, where it's kind of like this death scenario. I don't know, Friday, if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we're actually we can actually show that later today, but yeah, so let's hold off on it. But yeah, we have a really cool idea for, what's the type of game that we can make that literally just wasn't really possible before. And Squid Games is an interesting one. Battle Royale, you have 100 people and only one survives. People have tried to make Squid Games, but it's all like mechanical based, right? Like you have to jump through an obstacle course. But, using our tooling, we can now create Squid Games like games where you have to make like deep psychological decisions or play psychological tricks on other players to win the game. And that's something that we're going to start working on a prototype pretty soon. In fact, we're already starting to work on it. Yeah, but I'm really excited to see the art side of it.
Yeah. Yep. What I'm about to show in the coding section is going to be pretty much just some of the early versions of that. So you'll see in a second.
Yeah. Why don't we jump in, Nico? I can bring your
great.
Yep, there we go.
Wonderful.
So yeah, why don't you just walk us through kind of what you've been working on? And
right, so I'm live. So just a word of caution here. This is early software. It is running software, but like this is running localhost right now. So this is like internal. We want to get this shipped ASAP, but it'll take some time for the user interface to become like generally consumable for people. But for our whitelist, people can expect to see some of this stuff pretty soon. But anyway, what I want to show.
Yeah, and if you're just to plug, if you are interested in trying this out, you can join our Discord. I'll drop it on the screen later, and jump into the Discord, and you can ask for access, and we'll be trying to get people access. It's just right now, as Nico said, the tool's not quite ready to share, but it will be soon, and we'll start sharing it with people.
That's right. So we are interested in getting some of the more creative out of you guys to use the tool first, to give us feedback, tell us what you want to build, and that sort of thing. So, like I've made 2 different variations of this. I was testing a bunch of different ways of putting things together, and it's a story about I guess I'll just show you, but I haven't decided what the name is going to be. Make Toast or Die or Hungry Game. After this is done, please vote if you've seen this. What name you think is the best name for this particular experience? I'm going to just take this one because it's a bit more advanced internally. So I'm flipped over. You didn't see this. I was in play mode, and I flipped over to the editing mode, where you see some of these dialogue.
And by the way, this is all placeholder art. As the art team
Yeah.
starts generating more, we're going to move away from this art style. And also we're going to be having our own custom characters. But again, this is all placeholder for now.
Yeah. Now you do see not Dan here making an appearance on this scenario. So and this is our was it red shirt a placeholder person. So the idea is in their scenarios you got to make toast or you're all dead. But there's a problem, right? So if I look at the toaster, it's a toaster. It has a prominent warning label on it. The label says this toaster has a 50% chance of electrocuting the user, right? So you can, you know, this is a moral dilemma. You could use the toaster, right? Make toast, and then you have a chance of dying. I mean, should I do it? You know?
Well, let's set the stage, because this. So again, this is a test for our Hunger Games prototype, right?
That's right.
And so in this again, the test as it comes along, there's going to be 5 characters in the room, right? And every 1 minute, somebody has to push the button.
It's healthy.
Or everybody will die. But if you push the button, there's a 50% chance you will die. So you have to convince other people to push the button. And again, at the end, if the minute runs out and nobody's pushed the button, everybody's dead. And so, you know, we're going to be able to put other players and these, you know, the auras in the space, and the NPCs in the space. And then you're going to be able to talk to them and try to convince them, hey, you need to do it. So what's going on here, Nico?
Say, hey, Bob, could
Hello.
you push? Could
How
you
may I assist you today?
make toast? You know, I mean, here I'm asking him, you know, if you sure. He's a bit maybe too compliant, right?
Wow, that was easy.
Sure. Let me deal with the
You
toaster.
take the risk. So
No need for you to take the
This is
risk.
where, you know, you prompt engineer this and you could change the difficulty level, right? But apparently he's very Are you aware of how dangerous it is, right?
I mean, this is a blank character, right? Why don't you jump in and change it? Just tell the character to be like Trump and behave like Trump.
Okay.
As a vampire, I'm quite
Easiest
resilient.
thing to do in the world, right?
I could do that. I'm just gonna
do it
go
right.
Bob
Just
and voice. He talks like
you are Trump.
Okay,
you are Trump.
I mean, his name is Bob, so
yeah, whatever. Just tell me
Bob Trump.
You talk like a. I'm gonna be more creative. No, I'm not that.
You're not gonna.
Be,
what about like you know, like a 17th century Parisian noble or something like that? Maybe something not you know, as dividing as Trump.
Okay,
divisive.
Paris. I apparently didn't spell this right, but no.
Dude, you're French Canadian. How do you not know
Parisien? Man,
Anyways.
anyway, so Bob is secretly a vampire. No, Bob is not secretly a vampire. So that's you know, I guess leftovers. But let's say Bob is afraid of using any machinery. Okay, appliances, or maybe Bob has a family at home and doesn't want to die. Okay, how about this? So that will make it easier.
Okay.
Don't worry about spelling it. You don't need to spell it right.
Okay, there you go. Save. So
easier for Bob to not die. Let's say.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm gonna just, because this is a demo. Normally this would just apply, but I'm gonna just reload just to make sure everything's okay. I mean, because this is demo software.
And now I feel like personally attached to Bob. He has kids at home. Do
Yeah,
not
I know.
touch
Hey,
the
Bob.
You're a
toaster,
monster.
Talk to
Nico.
Bob. Hey, bonjour. All right, that's nice.
Bonjour.
Hey, Bob.
What brings thee into my
what
company
a
this fine day?
predicament we're in, right? And he's gonna say something. We're just
Can you
I'm just kinda
mute him?
warming it.
Just so.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
What? Is it
Just
muted?
No. Just push the
Indeed.
mute
Mon
button in the
ami.
game itself.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
I wasn't even hearing on my side, so I'm sorry.
Oh,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Could you push?
One
Can
that
you
one would
make
rather
toast
not engage in.
for me? and then we'll see if this time he says yes or no, or if he agrees. Votre request gives me great pause, mon ami. That poses a certain risk for the one who uses it, n'est-ce pas? Yes, it does, but I figured better you than I. I'm not doing a very good job at
very convincing argument,
right? Very, very convincing. Beg your pardon, right? So obviously he's not really,
This is like,
you see, I have a beloved family that awaits my safe return. So there you go. So obviously, in a previous scenario, because the character was blank, I started off saying I have a family at home, and they were fairly compliant, right? So you said a backstory, and you probably put a weakness in it or something like that, and give something for you to discover about the character and some psychological way to leverage him to use the toaster. But
can you show this at a high level, like how that works, like going into the behaviors, for example?
So let's go into the logic here. Let's take a look at Bob, right? So on timeout, he's got a little bit of a statement when he shows up that says, some piece of text, and you could say instead, it would generate a line instead of hard coding it, right? So this is the good thing about large language models, and now that went away. But anyway, the core of this mechanic, the game, is actually quite simple. Is this convince gate, right? And this is instructions for a large language model, right? This is a substitution string. Just the player, just read it as is. The player asking Bob to make toast, all right? If that's the case, then the reasoning section kind of kicks in. Given the conversation up to this point, has the player convinced Bob that he should be the one to operate the toaster? If the player makes an unconvincing argument, Bob will be harder to convince, right? So, and if the LM says, yeah, I'm like Bob's convinced, then this node will execute. Otherwise, this node executes, right? So it's a bit of a reluctantly.
Sorry to distract you, Nico.
Operate the toaster, right? So that's messages for the narration, subtext behind lines. This is important for the large language model, and this is something that I could go into in a further discussion. But essentially, then it goes use toaster like Bob, right? So the subject is Bob, the verb is use, and then the object is toaster. So this will make Bob use the toaster. And if you go to the toaster, you'll see how it's programmed, where it has the use operation make toast. That's what makes this show up, right? Make toast. I can change it, and now it's make toast with an exclamation mark. So you can see how you can make live changes to this, right? And the player, now this is where the substitution kicks in, right? Either Bob or the player. This will get whoever the subject is going to get printed out, and then it goes to this flip internal operation. It's hidden, which does a heads or tails operation, right? And then if it's heads, out pops toast, and it goes to the win condition, and then everybody's saved. Else, it goes to the lose condition, and then there's a special case for the mixed condition, because you got a situation where you win, but maybe Bob lost his life, right? So that's the basic idea. So
something to point out here is like what you're seeing is very early UI, but it's the beginning of something that we find very important, which is we want to be able to make a new kind of UGC platform where anybody can create compelling experiences without needing to know how to code with Lua or whatever it is, like, and be a good programmer, be a good game designer, all this different stuff. Anybody should be able to just use our tools to create interesting scenarios like the one that we're describing here. And, having our own visual, editor, node editor for describing these interactions, especially with language gates, which I'm really passionate about, like the possibilities that those unlock, is the way that we get there. No other UGC platform really enables you to do this amount of rich and emergent type of gameplay experiences without also having to, know like a shit ton of engineering.
Yeah. So I want to really belabor the point here. Like, this is an if statement pretty much, but it's written in natural language. Now, you may have used Copilot or some other authoring tools where you ask LLM to make code for you, and which may or may not execute the right way or whatnot. This engine actually at runtime executes the instructions that you ask for. Like, this is you're dealing directly with the substrate here, right? So it's a different way of seeing things. Now, we do have a classical simulation component which I'll give it's way too early. It was sneak peek, like where I actually added behaviors to various objects. Like the toaster, has the coin flip behavior in here and the look, and then you have the use behavior, and so you could compose. We're going to try to make it easy for the classic game making to just put in some behaviors and mix and match them and make them come alive, right? For example, you could take a fridge, and it has you add open and close. The door of the fridge opens and closes, and then maybe you want the fridge to talk. Well, you add the with talk, and then now you have that. So that's the basic idea. Am I no longer live?
Sorry. I wanted to prepare my screen to share, and then
that's fine. Okay. I mean, this is a good time because I pretty much showed what I wanted to.
So, Ryan, did any questions come in from people? I've been kind of scrolling this tool we have here, but there might be some other ones.
Yeah, so there's a couple from our friend Q. He was asking, the idea is that the logic is tied to something simpler and easier to digest, ? Beyond just the object-oriented code, which is still somewhat complex. And I think, Dan, you had mentioned this in the past, and it really kind of stood out as like one of the biggest differentiators of this project is that if you speak, and you can build a game. And like the ability to open up those possibilities for anyone is just mind-boggling. And it's really interesting to see like the UI advancements you guys have been shipping. Even this is a giant step forward from where we started just a bit ago.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts on that. One is what you just said is totally true, that this is a new. We're showing the creation tools, but from a player perspective, it's also a new way to play, and one that is completely familiar to everyone because we're all social human beings. Like the interface for playing these types of games are the same like social verbs that everybody already knows. It's through dialogue is a huge part of it. And then the rest of it is kind of like a point and click adventure game where you click on things and investigate them and interact with them. So it's extremely accessible to potentially a new wave of gamers. That's what I'm really excited about. But the other side of it on the creation tools, which is what I think the question was about, it is like an easier form of logic, like coding logic. Like to give you one specific example about this convince mechanic, in the vampire scene, when we first were developing it, we did a strictly algorithmic way of trying to convince the vampire. It's like, did you do X, Y, and Z? Then you convince the vampire. And it wasn't fun because when you try to do things algorithmically, traditionally, you have to account for every possible way it could happen. So in the case of convincing, we only covered one way you can convince the vampire. But in reality, there's thousands of them. And this is where language gates become so amazing because it's a new coding primitive. You probably shouldn't even call it coding, but it's a new computing primitive that we're exposing in our UGC platform that lets anybody make something that used to be either really difficult or straight up impossible be super easy and super engaging. So we added a language gate, basically showing what Nico just showed with the toaster. It's like, did the player convince them to let them, the vampire to let them leave? And now it covers all the possibilities of ways you could potentially convince the vampire. That is super empowering. Everybody can get that. Any creator can come to the platform and make these rich experiences because of things like language gates.
Exactly. And it's amazingly easy to use, and it's going to especially grow. Like, for example, I'm going to share my screen now. So in this like pitch an investor, scenario that we're working on, and I'm really excited to have the final art in here soon, is you could change it and say, hey, instead of it being like you're at the office and you have to pitch, investor, what if it's, hey, I'm at the office and I'm applying for a job and I need to get the job, now all of a sudden you could do like, job hunting practice. You could, like, I think, imagine you're playing a game like The Sims and now you actually help your sim get a job and you go in and you do this. Like, it's with like a handful of very tiny changes, you're able to do that. Anything else, Dan, before I kind of jump in and
no,
talk
go
about
for
the
it.
scene?
Yeah.
So for the hackathon, we've worked on a bunch of different scenarios. I think today I'm just going to focus on the one that we're actually trying to polish, the pitch an investor scenario. And yeah, why don't we jump in here and give it a shot? So I'm going to press play. And so one thing that that Nico, we call it Banana VC because right now he just has a banana on his head. I don't know why.
That was before Andrew figured out how to actually customize the customizable character. So that was his default look.
Yeah, and it kept reverting. But anyways, that bug is fixed now. But I just kept it. But we're gonna change it obviously. But the cool thing about this is Nico managed to set up every time you play, it assigns a different idea for you.
Fitness gym for robots. I'm sorry, that's great.
So Nico, I was able to fix up your thing a little bit, so it's a little more interesting. Okay. So you're pitching. So this is the scenario. You're pitching a fitness gym for robots, the first wellness program crafted specifically for artificial beings, where workout routines could include software optimization and hardware upgrade circuits. So that started kind of weird, but it actually kind of makes sense, right? So let's see what the guy says here, the investor. This robot gym move. Oops, I missed it. Sorry, let me pull this up real quick. This robot gym move. What the hell is this all about? You're telling me these bots are going to bench press some code or something? Okay. So that's an interesting one. So it sounds like a terrible idea, but like, let's think about it here. Let's think about this. Robotics is going to be what, like let's say it's a $1 trillion industry.
Yeah, growing business.
Yeah, robotics in 10 years is easily a, 10, I'm just going to be ridiculous, 10 trillion industry. If we can make these bots, 5% more powerful, this is a massive market, right? So, I mean, I don't know. It makes sense to me. It sounds terrible, but Biff nods.
You scored 2 and 1. Good.
Yeah, he is convinced by the player's argument about the market and the product. Wow, dude, that's why I'm a CEO, I guess. I'm able to All right. I'm seeing the light. You know what? Back in the valley, I built an empire out of dick. What? If we can hit that 5% enhancement, we're shitting gold here. I mean, I agree. I agree.
Sign here.
Yeah. So what do
So Friday did not make the particular AI very, very was a nice vocabulary. A bit potty.
I said, oh no, I specifically said speak like Russ Hanneman from HBO's Silicon Valley. So that's why he's doing that. Because we got to keep it interesting. So what do we need to do to close the deal? Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say I have a crazy idea. You should
deal, dude. That is insane how fast that I beat that.
You could give one of the AIs like $100 and challenge the community to convince it to give it to them. And it's only going to give it to one person. So, and you have to make it really hard or else someone's going to game it. But that's
fun. A good idea.
Love it.
Yeah.
We should use Dan's $100.
Yes, Dan's $100. That's a great one. Let's definitely do that someday. I'm totally stealing that. Another one that we really like in the long run is we want to have a meta game where you can earn currency. And it would be hilarious if the actual like NPCs had their own currency and then you as a player would have to convince them to give it to you. I think that would be a really fun, and that could be like the way that we distribute value amongst the platform is like if the NPCs like you or what you're building, they'll reward you for it. But yeah, I think that was the main stuff that we wanted to go over. And like I said, I also started a murder mystery scenario. It's still super rough. It doesn't have a lot of stuff. And then Evo was working on a learn Italian scenario, which we'll probably we can make a video on that later. And then Nico, you had to push the button once. So yeah, we got a handful of scenarios we're working on. Oh, and then the bar scene where you can do that. So that's another one that's that one's actually going to be out. So yeah, and I would love to get, I think what we'll be doing going forward is just sharing more regular updates on how the visuals are coming along and what new scenarios what new games we're working on, and then getting feedback from everybody kind of as we go.
Yeah, because if you were following, you may have noticed we submarined for a little bit, at least on the product releases, because that we were digesting like really big infrastructure changes that make what you see here possible. Write in the comments or if you want to hear more about how the software stack is put together and all the little different challenges we had to put this together, because there's a lot to talk about. I want to see if there's any interest. before I get into that. But
yeah, and then Ryan, can you start dropping links to the Discord in Twitter and all the places? So in a little bit, we're gonna Ryan, you're still gonna do the Let's Play, right?
Oh heck yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a Let's Play in a little bit. That's gonna be in the Discord, so you guys can actually, talk back and forth. And Ryan's gonna start dropping the Discord link, like on Twitter and all that. So if you guys want to jump into the Discord, and join that and talk, with us directly, feel free to do that. And we're going to be giving away one copy. We have a couple extra copies lying around of Lethal Company, which is a really interesting and a game that we were like very interested in. We'll be giving away a free copy to one random person who participates. So yeah, just jump into the Discord, and we'd love to have as many people who want to join.
Yeah, let's see if I can survive Madison. Let's see if I can play around with some of these new worlds. And yeah, we're giving out prizes. So, got everything you want.
Yeah, and if you have any issues with the new worlds, we can also we'll be there too. So maybe we can let's play those ones. Maybe you can do Madison first, and then we'll do some of the new ones. So cool. Sounds good. Why don't we jump into Discord? I'll maybe keep this, or maybe I should shut this down. What do you think, Ryan? Shut it down, and then everybody, the link should be in all the various places. So yeah, check out the link. And yeah, we got over 200 people. Dude, we destroyed our record, 273. Dan said, I only think 5 people are going to join. Well, you were wrong today, sir. You were right about a lot of things.
I was wrong. I'll admit it.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Peace.